20,000 immigrants will become citizens in the next 5 days, and tens of thousands more are getting ready between now and the 2022 election. 200 immigrants from 46 countries became citizens today in a ceremony led by Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas in the first act of swearing in at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, completing 20,000 nationalizations in 5 days, and tens of thousands more, over 335 more ceremonies this year. And there are many more ceremonies planned for the better part of 2022 and up until just before the 2022 election. And they'll be able to vote within weeks after that swearing in. So there's going to be one massive amount, and they're already in the country. These are not people crossing the border. They're here, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Welcome to the USA One podcast, the program where I share the most interesting notes of the day from social media, radio, newspapers, and other publications that we know you don't have time to follow. I'm Juan Andres, also known as Senor USA. If you'd like to view our programs, you can find us on USA One Podcast on iHeartRadio, Podbean, TuneIn, Alexa, and YouTube. And you can find us also on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. Just Google USA One Podcast and it'll all pop up. It'll show on your screen. They're all easily accessible on your smartphone and internet-compatible device. At the end of the program, I've included footage of a citizenship ceremony for those of you who've never had the opportunity to see one. You're going to, well, why do I want to see one? Well, here are people born in another country that go through this ceremony, and all of a sudden, they're equal to you. Everything you can do now as a citizen born here, and if you family came over in the Mayflower and you've been here forever, and here is Johnny come lately, and they go to this ceremony, and now they can do everything you can do, bam! Bam! In a couple of hours. They're equal to you. There's nothing you can do that they can't do. Well, don't you think you'd want to know what the hell are they doing in that ceremony? What's going on that these people have all the power I have when my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was sweeping the Mayflower? Well, that's the way it is. What can I say? You made the laws. We're taking advantage of them. What I want you to notice is the composition of the participants on that video. Oh, I got more surprises for you. You think that's the only thing? Wait till I tell you who was there, aiding these people to become citizens. You're going to say, no way. Wait till I tell you. But first, I want you to notice the participants. This is at the end of the program. I want you to listen to the program because there's a lot of meaningful information. And at the end, I'm popping this puppy, and I want you to watch it. Because it's an education. If you've never been to one of these things, it's an education. You're going to notice that the participants are practically all minorities. And you're going to know one thing for certain. None of them are going to be white nationalists. They're not white. And guess who is the master of ceremonies? VP Pence in 2019. And this is when Trump had already started trying to slow down the frequency and number of the new citizens in order to take effect, that they couldn't vote in the 2020 election. But it didn't matter. We got rid of him anyway. What's he doing? He's causing problems in Mar-a-Lago, but he's not the president of the United States. That's the most important thing. Right now, he's like a fly in your ear. And also, you're going to notice that there's only a couple of dozen in this particular ceremony. So it'll give you an idea of how big this ceremony of 200 that I'm talking about today is in comparison to that one. Huge. So don't leave without watching it. If you've never had one, it's right here. Take you a couple of minutes, and it'll be an education. And when you see Pence, you're not going to be happy. If you're a white nationalist, you're not going to be happy watching that ceremony. But at least find out what it's all about, so you won't be ignorant. Because if you don't know, you're ignorant. Yeah, and I don't mean to insult you. I'm ignorant if I don't know something. And if someone's telling me I can see it and I can look at it and I won't be ignorant anymore, and I still decide to be ignorant, what does that tell me about me? So don't leave without watching it. It's an education. It's an eye-opening experience, especially when you see VP Pence receiving these people, shaking hands with them, talking to them, smiling at them. And you know that out of the whole bunch, I think there was one that could fit into the white nationalist movement and become a Republican. All of them are going to be Democrats. And here's VP Pence. You see how ludicrous this infighting between us is? Our politicians know all this, but they have to feed you baloney and me baloney and get us fighting one another so they can turn around. While we're fighting one another, they can stick their head in the cookie jar and steal the whole damn cookie jar, because we're fighting each other like fools instead of paying attention to what they're doing. But look, that's not the point. The point is Trump and Pence were since rigging the election because he was trying to cut back on the amount of ceremonies and the quantity of people. That's why I'm telling you, there's only a couple of dozen, not 200, not hundreds. That was on purpose. Okay? Those 174 missing or 176 missing couldn't vote because he didn't allow them in. That's rigging the election. Rigging the election. And then he turns around and blames the Democrats for rigging. You know, it reminds me of that old saying, do as I say, but not as I do. Okay? And we, like idiots, fight each other, listening to these politicians, which are a bunch of, well, you know damn well they're liars. Come on. Come on. Let's get real. Politicians lie. And you know it and I know it. And you and I have to stop this foolishness of fighting. And watch what they're doing. Because they're giving us a cat and telling us it's a rabbit. Now, who are these people in this group? I'm talking about the 200 now. I'm not talking about the one in the video. You're going to see the one in the video. You're going to know exactly what they look like. How tall they are, with the color of their skin, what they were wearing, what they said, and how. Oh, watch Pence. Watch Pence. You're not going to like this. This is the party that's telling you that it's a white supremacist, nationalist party and they're banning this and banning that. We all get fed a bunch of bull by politicians. We all do. I'm including myself here. I'm laughing at myself as well. I'm not insulting you. If I insult you, I've insulted me. I'm trying to wake us up. Anyway, back to the topic of the 200, which is what this program's about. Not only the 200, but the tens of thousands that are going to be ready to vote in the 2022 and 2024 election. These people are coming from as far as Senegal Africa, so you know damn well that there's no white nationalist Republicans there. The Philippines, no white nationalist Republicans there. Argentina, well, maybe a couple. Colombia, maybe one or two, but the majority not going to be white nationalist Republican. But they're diverse, of all ages and histories. The immigrants who had already enjoyed the status of permanent residents, these guys are already here. Some of them were living here for decades. They share the true joy of having their dream come true, American citizens. And boy, they're tasting it. It's so tasty, so good to be an American citizen this year. Why? What prompted them to want this so bad and taste so good? Because it's their way of getting back at you. Okay? Why did they take the plunge after living here? Donald Trump, white nationalist Republicans, that's why. Coming down the steps calling us names. Walking down with torches saying that they're not going to replace us. It's ridiculous. The president saying both sides are nice, I love them both. Baloney. He loves himself. He doesn't love you and he doesn't love me. Nothing can motivate people more than watching cops murder minorities and politicians incite insurrections and threaten the peaceful citizenship with violence. No, we don't jump out and be violent. We become citizens and vote. And if you lost the majority in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, and you lost the presidency in 2000, what do you think is going to happen in 2022 and 2024 if you got ousted and lost everything without their votes? And now they're going in there with a passion, with a vengeance to make sure that you get a double whammy. And you keep talking bad about the second largest voting bloc in the United States? Wake up. Wake up. Come on. You're smarter than that. Look, I imagine that they may think that this is un-American behavior and it'll frighten the immigrant minorities, but they're wrong. All it does is create a call to non-violent arms exercising their new and intentional right to vote. Forget the ones that are trying to enter the United States at the border. These are already here, and thanks to the Republican strategy of intimidation, it's awakening a sleeping giant, the second largest voting bloc in the United States of America. Now, the day that the 200 were getting sworn in, that was the day that they were commemorating the signing of the Constitution, September 17, 1787. And since 1940, this day is also called Citizenship Day, with collective acts of naturalization in various parts of the country, 335 in total, until completing 20,000 nationalizations in 5 days. But it doesn't stop there. Among the new Americans who waited, several were being sworn in. One was Mohammed Kolabali from West Africa. He's not white nationalist Republican, who came proudly wearing his military uniform and held the small U.S. flag throughout the event. The United States is a great country, and I'm happy to be a citizen, said Kolabi, who immigrated in 1996 and entered the U.S. military service a year ago because this country gave me many opportunities. Now, he came in 1996, 2006, 2016, 2021. He's been here 25 years. We have a presidential election every 4 years. Divide 4 into 25. That's 6 elections. And he hadn't become a citizen. And you talking foolishness and threatening. Now all of a sudden this guy says, you know what, I'm becoming a citizen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're awakening a giant. Everything you think that's going to scare the minorities is doing the opposite. So for the Caribbean Dominicans, Wander Vargas and Nairobi Pacheco, aged 19 and 42, respectively obtaining citizenship was the door to the new rights. I did it for my family, my children, my husband, and for the right to vote. And all the rights that citizens that were born here have, now I have it, said Pacheco, who works as a cleaning worker at a hospital. Normally these kind of workers are so busy, working day and night, miserable hours, sometimes 2 jobs to keep their families going. Well, one of the last things in their mind right now is, I gotta go. Number one, it's not easy to become. You gotta learn about it. You get tested to become a citizen. You gotta read books. Don't think it's a 5-minute process. You woke him up. Keep talking. You woke him up. Hear Mr. Pacheco's word, the right to vote. I think it would have served Republicans best to behave as the former Republicans did. They kept them quiet. Now these braggadocious ones are the ones that are waking up this monster. They're waking up not only, I mean monster in the elective sense, in the voting sense. Law-abiding and conservative and deep love of country Republicans didn't do these things. This present strategy pleases their followers, but in my opinion, it's working against their goals. The 1/3 of Trump Americans bullying the 2/3 majority composed of minorities and decent, peaceful, and usually silent white Americans is not a smart tactic. It's a dumb one. I wouldn't have chosen it, and I'm not a politician. But I try to avoid making mistakes. I mean, if I make them, I make them. But it's not because I planned it. You guys are planning this. You're sitting down and strategizing the demise of the 2022 and 2024 election, thinking that you're doing the right thing. You're putting the rope on yourself. And you hope to regain the legislative and the executive branches of government? I don't think so. And I don't think you're going to do it for decades with this strategy you're using. Who's the dummy that came up with this? Look, after taking the oath of the 200 immigrants in the massive ceremony, Mayorkas indicated that with rights also come responsibilities as citizens, and also that he trusts that the future of the nation will be better served with new citizens whom he urged to give what best of themselves they have as compatriots. He recalled his own history as an immigrant, and that his father, and that of his father, his mother, who fled Romania during World War II after several members of his family were killed by the Nazis, and took refuge in Cuba, where she met his father and had 2 children. She married a Cuban. His family then left Cuba in the 1960s to settle in the United States, where he said he grew up aware that he was in a place where he had not been born and that he was surrounded by people of various origins. He claimed to be the fruit of all this experience. He also said, in an aside with the press, that these ceremonies are a powerful reminder that immigrants enrich this country and how we can provide hope and opportunities to people who want a better life. Folks, if you think that, what's a big deal about one citizenship ceremony of 200 participants? It's a very big deal, folks. Remember that Trump intentionally postponed citizenship ceremonies, making immigrants ineligible to vote in the 2020 election, and he lost it anyway. Even with the rigging, he lost it anyway. And he thinks he's going to come back in 2024 after he whooped this giant, all these tens of thousands, millions of people now that are becoming citizens that were here as residents, not even worrying about voting, just working and making a living? Ay, 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 ay. Look, his not only to upset those who were eligible, he upset them. They were eligible back then, but he awoke the sleeping giant of immigrants that would have normally remained just residents, stayed quiet where they were just for another 25 years. And here are the consequences of big mouthing and bullying. And today's divisive Republican rhetoric just adds flames to the fire. Keep it up, folks. In a normal year, about 63,000 immigrants become citizens. And this comes to, that's a month. That's 750,000 annually. Well, you can dump that number in the trash. I guarantee you that this year and next, getting ready for the 2022 election, it's not going to be 750,000 this year and 750,000 next year, 1,500,000 votes against the Republicans. It's going to be double, triple, quadruple that. You got a big damn problem on your hands. Look, everything Trumpian, it's always act first and to heck with the consequences. You should have thought of this before and plan your strategy. I don't say that your strategy is bad. You know, hey, there's room for everybody. You want to be a white nationalist, you want to think you're the biggest thing since popcorn in this country, fine. Fine, that makes you happy. Good for you. Go get it. Go get it, Charlie. But to plan a dumb strategy like this, have your politicians pick such a silly road, and you're busting your gut to push it instead of having him change it to a better strategy, and you're running to the edge of the precipice to jump over like a herd of cattle. Well, guess what? The consequences are alive and well, and planning to return the favor of that rigging that you did in 2020, which you didn't win anyway. They're planning to make sure they're going to return the favor in 2022 and 2024 by getting out and voting.